And so on today's video, I am taking you guys through a journey of storytelling, my path of becoming a healer, becoming a tantrica, and activating the energetic capacity for this work, the work of transformation and alchemy and embodiment. And so how all of this began, I was going through my cabinets and organizing, and I came upon these things. If you guys remember, we call them binders, folders, things that we used to collect and print things from. And as I opened it, like my first one was like my Reiki binder from when I first attended a Reiki certification training, which by the way is what like welcomed me and opened the foundation into the world of energy and healing. Reiki 1 and Reiki 2, I remember I took it, it was a weekend back to back with Reverend, I believe her name was Reverend Anna Jones, a Reiki master. So she is from Hawaii and she was in Maryland for the weekend of back to back to back. So I ended up doing Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 in the same weekend. And when I received the attunement, I had a lot of purging. There was like a lot of tears coming through. And it felt to me like a reawakening of something ancient and long unused or suppressed, not unused, like a suppressed, like my healing gifts were suppressed for many years. And this attunement like reactivated that in this lifetime. And when she did the second Reiki attunement on me, she told me a message that I was a healer many, many lifetimes ago. And because of my ego, I had to shut down my healing abilities for many years. And so during the first attunement, when I had this intense purge, it made sense. Like she reopened it in this lifetime. And so since getting this training, it has been my intentional path to walk very humbly, knowing the responsibility of what this work carries. And we can see what has been happening in the global collective with all these spiritual teachers that are coming out that were not so conscious. Let's just put it that way. For me, the biggest joke is out of them, the Deepak Chopra. And he's a teacher that I personally looked up to and I loved listening to his meditations. So it really breaks my heart that that level of collective spiritual influencer has been on Epstein list. All right. And so walking this path with integrity and high level of responsibility is what this first training foundational laid out the foundation for me. All right. And so as I was walking through my folder, you know, have you guys seen some of these signs? I'm sure if you've taken any sort of Reiki pranic healing, there's some sort of sigils, okay? And how do we work with sigils? Well, in the world of magic, whatever you give power to becomes. And so Miss Reverend Anna, she gave this sigil her meaning. And so in different Reiki trainings, sigils may be a little bit different, but ultimately the intention is the same. One is for power and physical healing. The Seheiki is for more like emotional healing, more balance, more mental stability. And then the distant healing, which is this Honsha Zesho Hen. This is a term and a sigil that we invoke when we do work over Zoom or online or long distance. And so this is cute. Okay, this is foundation. This is cute. This is me from, what year was it? 2006. Ooh, 2016. 10 years ago. Ooh, ding, ding, ding. What an interesting timeline. So 10 years ago is when I attended my very first training, okay? And so that training, that path took me onto the journey of yoga and exploring the path of meditation, yoga, breath work. Somewhere along the way, I'm looking for the next chapter. Somewhere along the way, I was very hesitant between choosing the path of massage or following onto the path of yoga. They were both costing around the same time, except the massage school was about 6 months, whereas the yoga training was 1 month. And so in 2018, I was taking 2 years between the Reiki training to the yoga training. I was in a relationship. I was moving to Orlando. I started getting out of the 9 to 5 corporate matrix work and started to call in for a higher purpose. I went out on one of the full moons during my birthday, and I was feeling lost. I was trying to find my way in like the wellness and the coaching and the yoga. I didn't know, I didn't have clarity. And so on the birthday, I believe it was like 2017, on my full moon month, I asked the universe for guidance. And I said, where should I go? What's the next thing that I should do? And it was very loud and very clear. The word came through: coaching. Okay, so the next day I Googled coaching and I found the next certification that was coming up. And that was Life Coach Institute of Orange County. That was on March 2017. So actually that's interesting timeline. So this was 6/15. What's 6? June. Okay, we have, this is in March. So in March, when I took the coaching certification, what that opened up for me was communication. It opened up the mental field of digging into somebody's psyche to pull on threads of what it is that we're seeking through intentional questions and communication patterns. And so upon completion of this coaching training, I started my Lighthouse Wellness and introducing energy work with coaching. And at the same time, I was also, again, still debating whether I wanted to do yoga or not. So yoga came a little bit later. What do we have here? Here we have in a year later. Oh, look at all these things happening in March. So coaching was March in 2017. Yoga was in March 2018. And this yoga teacher training changed my life, you guys. Like, what I really loved most about this training was that it was 4 weeks in Hawaii, in the mountains of the eco retreat. Okay, eco retreat, like electricity from the sun, compost toilets, like no water, like we had to all kind of like huddle up together for like shower times. And so it was really like in the woods, in the isolation. And it was all women. There was 20 women. It was all vegan food. We were drinking cacao like every other day. We had ayahuasca ceremony and we had mushroom ceremony. Okay, so those 4 weeks for me were the biggest discipline that I've ever had, the most yoga I've ever done, the closest, the longest times I've ever lived with women, the most cacao I've ever drank, and like the most transformational time of my life. When I came back from this teacher training, I ended up having enough courage to end the relationship where my partner's addiction was eating at my soul. I chose to move to South Florida, which was scary as hell because I didn't have a job. I didn't have a place. I didn't really know too many people here. The only person I really felt like grounded to in South Florida was my friend David, the water magister, who also inspired me to become Lighthouse Aly, because he was David the water magister and he was playing with water and alchemy and astral traveling. And so I was like, I kind of wanted a name. So he gave me permission to choose a name, and an Aly Light eventually was born out of that. And so this training just took me and transformed me and literally repositioned me into the life that I have been brewing and growing, and the seeds have been planted in those years. And so that was really powerful. That was like one of the most powerful trainings. Highly recommend if you're looking for a life change. Don't do yoga training that's like every other weekend or every weekend or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. No, you deserve to fully commit to like a live-in yoga teacher training experience. It will change your life. Highly recommend. All right. And so anyway, I was going through all my folders here, and just kind of seeing like what else was standing out. And what was standing out is realizing that the work is really of spiritual healing. Everything that we do is like yoga, unification of mind, body, spirit. Eventually, energy opened up. Relationship through Tantra opened up. Communication through coaching led through communication through Tantra and intimacy. So it's almost like building blocks had to happen before I could do the level of work that I'm able to hold space for right now. And so I want to read you guys a couple of things here. So a spiritual healer is one who acts as a channel to convey God's healing energies to others, whether for physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual healing. This occurs through the laying of hands or through absentee healing through intention, awareness, and visualization. Spiritual healing is recognized by many texts, including the New Testament scriptures, and is a tenet of ancient and modern religions. A spiritual healer possesses gifts or a talent for passing healing energy from spiritual forces to the recipients. This energy helps to bring about relief, cure, and healing of both mental and physical conditions. So, we can call it Reiki, we can call it prana, we can call it life force. It's all the same thing. It's energy. What matters here is the level of refinement and attunement and purification of your facilitator. Okay? In the Reiki, the saying is, we are not facilitating the energy is flowing through us. We are the hollow bone. Okay. Some more advanced spiritual healings like psychic surgeries, entity removals, those could involve your own energy. So those are very subtle yet apparent differences to keep in mind if you're somebody who's interested in this path. And so as I was walking through these pages, I discovered something. Does anyone know what this is? Okay. So a client recently asked me about the changes in my work, because I used to talk all about the chakras and the Indian gods and deities and really follow more of the yogic philosophies of life. Whereas recently I've transitioned back to Christian Orthodoxy, which is my Slavic religion that I have been baptized with at the age of 7. So Yeshua has been with me this whole time. But for some period of my awakening and healing, I was really connected to the Indian gods and deities. And so I had these beautiful images around my altar. And so, unification of Shiva and Shakti. We have the Ganesh and Parvati. And so these were around my altar. And my altar was welcoming of these yogic deities. However, over time, I just felt I needed to simplify things. This path really served me for many, many years. And what was really serving me is this yantra, okay? Sri yantra. A point right here is called Bindi. This is how I started my meditation many, many years ago. I had really hard time meditating with my eyes closed, thinking about nothing. Okay, what worked for me was meditating on a Sri Yantra. This was hanging on my ceiling in my bedroom. You can also hang this in front of you, sitting comfortably. And when you begin to look at this point right here, you begin to activate your peripheral vision. Most people see straight, okay, maybe 75 degrees. Our eyeballs technically can see 180, okay, from here to here, but for most people it's here. If you open up your third eyeball, it's not tangible, it's your third imaginary eye that exists somewhere in your brain. You can see 360. It's like you have the eyes 360 around, but it's really more sensory and it's more intuitive. Some people are really visual, so they may straight up see things that are behind them and around them. Some people, like myself, I'm very sensory. I know, I sense, so I may not see, but I'll know. Okay? And so when we meditate on sacred yantras, we activate something in us. I believe this is the quantum medicine. It's hard to explain. It's just, it works when you do it. Okay. It's like a spiritual practice. It's your sadhana. And when you do something long enough, they say 21 days plus is to form a habit, something clicks and something activates. So this is, for me, was really powerful, and maybe for you as well. So as I transitioned away from working with Indian gods and deities, I returned back to working with Holy Spirit. However, as I went back through these folders, I'm like, holy crap, like, wow, I used to be deep into like tarot studies. I used to be deep into all these like crystals, like what meaning of all the crystals, what do they mean? So there was a time when I was like really heavily working with objects, things, stuff. Okay, and there was a moment when I realized, again, my dear friend, the Water Magister, said, you don't need a Palo Santo. You are the Palo Santo. And so when he said that to me, I remembered that I actually don't need any of these things because I am the embodiment of it if I choose to. You hear me? Like, yeah, it's nice. Like, I can light up some Palo Santo, you know, but I can also just energetically expand a sense of smelling something woodsy, delightful, something's burning, feeling like this grounding, high vibe, nurturing energy. Like, I can expand that. All right. And so in a way, he gave me power and a remembrance that we don't need any of the tools. We need to remember who we are. And this is why I found it very interesting how my path took me back to Yeshua and to Holy Spirit, because Yeshua wasn't using any of these wands or crystals or herbs. He was using his sword, the word, the intention, and the Holy Spirit that was moving through his pure body vessel. Okay. And so I think that's pretty freaking cool. However, before my methodology simplified over the years, I was very connected to the chakra system. Okay. And the chakra system is necessary if you want to understand how to work multidimensionally with somebody. And so I had charts like this, and I would study them and I would try to understand. And so how this helps me now is when I sit with a client and I ask some questions about different body centers, I can understand where they are based on their answers. And that guides the session to where we're going to be working on the healing, like what center needs more healing. And so although I like the chakra system, it's very complicated. There is a lot to memorize. And most of my clients are busy entrepreneurs and CEOs. They ain't got time for that. And so at some point I was like, okay, I'm ready for something more. Like, I want a stronger medicine. Like, give me a new medicine. And so intuitively, the universe works her magic. Somehow, some way, online, I saw a training for a shamanic breathwork. Okay. And what really attracted me about this training is that it was 2 weeks long. Okay. If you've been here with me, you might have known that I really loved the yoga retreat because it was long. It was live-in, it was a schedule, it was discipline, it was practices every single day. That's what changes habits, okay? And so this training was in Mexico, Teotihuacan, Mexico City, and I went there. And I showed up at this training ready to go with like a stack of pre-rolls. I got tobacco, I got weed, like I got all my little herbs to self-soothe, of course, only to be caught on the first day of the retreat by Nicholas, who basically was like, this is a sober retreat. We're doing really powerful psychedelic work and you need to be sober so that we can have a real and authentic experiences. And so on the first day, I realized like, yeah, I'm going to have to commit. Like I either had to leave the retreat or I had to follow their requests for sobriety. And so 2 weeks, shamanic breathwork, 5-hour-long breathwork ceremonies doing and then holding space. So 10 ceremonies. And in these 10 ceremonies, what I witnessed was the biggest emotional movement, healing, transformation, alchemical things happening with no psychedelics and no substances. This is when I was like, whoa, I'm tapping into something really freaking strong here. And the coolest part about this training was that it was a whole room of healers. So I felt like I was right where I belonged. We all spoke the same language. We all could relate. And we were so willing and eager to do the work. And it just felt like one of the most potent, powerful, it was like 60 people. It was a massive container. So imagine like 60 people, 30 people laying down, 30 people holding space, having these experiences. And so upon becoming an ordained minister through Venus Rising, I realized that breath work is the only medicine that we truly need. And it gave me confidence to hold for clients to have their own experience and for them to witness what is available and what wants to move through their body. So I don't know how she discovered this. I mean, we all now know breathwork is very popular, but her method, Linda Starwolf, the founder of Venus Rising, she has a very specific method. It's shamanic, there's drumming, there's specific music. And so I really felt activated after going through these really intense ceremonies. And so when I came back, my tantric work has shifted. I took this training September 2022, and that new year is when I felt like, okay, confident to weave it into my Tantra massage. And so now, beginning of all of my Tantra sessions start with the drumming and this shamanic activation. So in a way, this was a new tool. I learned it, I experienced it, I embodied it. So now I can pass the wisdom on to clients that come and receive this work. And so that was another certification that was in my binder here. And I don't have any of these like hanging, people have their things hanging around the wall. I don't know, do you guys have that? Do I need to do that? I just feel like I have a different name, like I've chosen Aly Light to be me. However, my full Russian name is Alona Motkina, and so she's a little different. Like Alona is Russian, she's Slavic. And I think a lot of people know me as Aly, but few of you know me as Alona. And part of me kind of likes it that way. Anyway, so keep on moving. So as I'm moving through all of these studies, I also wanted to point out that sometimes like somebody will plant a seed and you may not be ready for that seed. You may not even know what the hell the person said, okay? But I want you to trust yourself and to not dismiss things, but to be curious and be open, because you never know how things will end up. And so many, many years ago, when I moved to Orlando, a friend of mine gave me this book. This was before my Tantra days, okay? This was opening up into holistic wellness, moving into coaching. But she gave me this book, and it's called Jewel in the Lotus. It's a very tantric book. And when I looked at it, I was with my partner in Orlando at the time, and I wasn't ready for this. I was like, this is complicated language. I wasn't ready to practice this with my partner. Like, it's very energetic. It's very intimate. My partner at the time was like having his own awakening. I just started like bringing him to ayahuasca ceremonies. And so I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for this book. And so how I started, like how my path into bodywork started, because remember, all of this before was like energy, emotions, working with like the field, okay? So what led me into the body was yoga, that eventually revealed to me how much I like to lay my hands And I know exactly where and how, and like my hands just know. And so I was like, okay, I need to bring forth this massage training. However, I didn't want to do massage because at that time I've already learned that if you are a licensed massage practitioner, you're not allowed to work with sexuality or with the pelvic floor work, okay? And so therefore, ding, 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 my study took me to the Thai yoga practice, okay? Thai yoga is very tantric if you make it very tantric. And it's also very therapeutic, very energetic, activating. It's one of my favorite styles of body work, all right? And so this was like my intro into touch, into the field of connection. Cool thing about Thai massage is that you're able to use your elbows, your feet. It's a little bit lighter on the body than regular massage. And so studying Thai massage gave me foundation and knowledge of the body. And then I continued my studies with Barbara Brennan and her continual education on energy field. Okay, this is a very advanced book that teaches you about energy, how it moves, how to feel it on different parts of the body. And it has some really cool, colorful images of your energy center. And so through this book, I've learned about the toroidal field, the field that keeps coming out and looping back in around us, and also how people attract entities or attachments, or like in Russia, there's a word called latva, different latvas that basically they're like ticks, they're feeding off of your energy field. And so when you practice this work, as a healer, you learn to tap into those realms. You either feel them or you see them or you know them. And so her work is really powerful. It's very in-depth. Like this book is very in-depth. And what I like about it is that it had a practice for practitioners. And it was like the easiest freaking practice I've ever come above, but it's the most powerful. So the point of like having strong healing hands is having open pathways, meaning that from your fingertips to your head to your feet, everything is flowing. Okay, the channels, the highway, the rivers that flow, your life force, your energy, your sensitivity, your blood, they are, what are we here? And so when you open these pathways through meditation, through detoxing, through breath work, through mindful practices, your body becomes light. Okay, you become enlightened, full of light. Okay, and so when you're full of light, light from Holy Spirit can flow through you easier. Okay, and when light flows through you easier, it fills you. It calcifies you. Eventually, like we all should be glowing. Like we used to have, I believe, we used to have glowing auras before this world got really freaking dense. I believe by somebody's aura, you could tell exactly and everything what was going on with them. But over time and our forgetfulness and the toxicity of this modern day society, we got super disconnected from our innate spiritual capacity. And we forgot. But in truth, we are spiritual being to begin with. We are the beings of light to begin with. So this form is grounded, it's dense, it's calcified onto 3D existence. Okay, so when we start practicing spiritual practices, what we're doing is we're releasing density and we're opening up ourselves to a lighter, more vibrant aura, which ultimately regenerates our system. It heals our body. It allows us to bring forth more joy, more peace, more ease. It allows you to co-create and manifest. It allows you to have better relationships because you're operating from a more pure, remembering sense of self. Okay? So, Hands of Light by Barbara Brennan for anybody who wants to get into healing work, and Thai massage for everybody. Okay, yoga teacher training, Thai massage for everybody. Energy work for somebody who feels called to that. It's not light. Like working with demons is not light. Okay, carrying on people's density is not light. Okay. And so the journey continues. So the Jewel and the Lotus was standing on my bookshelf for like 8 years. until I finally felt ready to like look at it and weave these practices into my work. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. You may have a seed that's been planted. Let it sit there. Let it have its time and space, because everything blooms in its divine timing. Okay. Nature is perfect. We are part of nature. So you are perfect. All right. Keep on moving. So before this was too freaking complicated, how I stepped into the world of Tantra was through the modern Neo-Tantra presented by Charles and Carolyn Muir. All right. This is Intro to Tantra, the Western Tantra. All right. This is actually a blend of traditional Tantra with Neo-Tantra. This is really beautiful. This is actually spiritual intimacy, tantric intimacy, whereas this more like contemporary couples Tantra. Okay. So this book is like foundation. Okay. Whereas this is more specific, direct, intentional practices. This is like Tantra massage, lingam yoni prostate work, micro cosmic meditation, learning about ejaculation control, learning about the female Amrita. So like very foundational. And then this book takes you deeper. And then the book that serves to this day as my Bible, the scripture for Sacred Muse Tantra and for my methodology of awakening your sacred sensual self, lies, ding, 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 right here. All right. Sexual Healing, the Shaman Method of Sex Magic by Baba Des Nichols and Kamala Devi. Okay, I've talked about this book, many different videos on my podcasts. And so when I was reading this book, the concept of Tantra being simply Indian began to evolve. And the revelation has become that Tantra can be very shamanic. And then I was like, what is this shamanic world? And so this shamanic realm came to me before the Venus rising shamanic breathwork. Okay, so my path with shamanism actually started in the world of sacred sexuality and in the experienced embodiment of temple ritual lifestyle. All right, and receiving the medicine that awakens. Just like I said in the breathwork, the psychedelic effects awaken because you breathe, you activate the body. In this sacred sexuality, the psychedelic, the altered states of existence awaken because of the space, the ritualistic experience space, temple space that you create for these activities. And the easiest example is self-pleasure ritual, which is you entering into shamanic realms with the relating of your sexuality to yourself. Okay. And so now imagine that with your beloved. Okay. Because that beloved becomes this. Okay. This right here, I say needs to be a self practice. Like Tantra, this is your 101. Okay. These are more advanced, but a good foundation. Okay. This is if you want to be a practitioner. This is if you want to practice with your beloved, assuming you guys already done some inner work together. Okay. And so these books have been accommodating me through my journey of awakening into Tantra, into shamanism, into bodywork, into energy. And then the book that I have yet to grow into, but I've like looked through the pages, is this one. It's called Advanced Spiritual Intimacy, the Yoga of Deep Tantric Sensuality. And so let me read you a little bit here what it says, okay? Sexual development does not end in adolescence. There are advanced stages of glandular, emotional, and erotic development based in the lifelong puberty of the spine. Known in India as Kundalini awakening, these stages form the energetic basis of all yoga forms and deeper erotic aspirations. They present an opportunity for couples and individuals to explore the consciousness expanding abilities of sexual energy as both spiritual and sexuality transforms into what the author calls ars erotica, far beyond the fruity and scientia sexualis, sexuality of the Western world. So ars erotica, your ability to expand your sexual consciousness. This book offers a guide to advanced stages of human sexuality and a passionately infused tantric yoga practice. Teacher explains how to awaken the complete spinal puberty resulting in spiritual intimacy and orgasmic pineal maturity. Remember that third eye I'm talking about? That surpasses the gratifications of modern sexuality. Ding, ding, ding. Explains how to awaken complete spinal puberty resulting in spiritual intimacy and orgasmic pineal maturity that far surpasses the gratifications of modern sexuality. Did you hear that? Did you receive that? What the hell did you say? Go back and re-listen. Whoa, it's a lot. So you can understand why I have yet fully to tap into this book, okay? Like it's somewhat in the lines of this, but a completely different teacher. So Stuart Sovatsky, PhD. I wonder if he's Lithuanian or something. Sovatsky. I would have to look him up a little bit more. Okay, he has degree in religion and psychology from Princeton University and the California Institute of Integral Arts. Kundalini Tantra practitioner since 1972. Okay. So here you have it, all right? From Reiki 1 to advanced spiritual intimacy, okay? 2016 to 2026. Here you have it, the journey that it took to the embodiment, to the transformation, through all the trials and tribulations, through all the traumas, joys, pains, and sorrows and celebrations. The path of Tantra reminds me that it's all okay. And making love at the end of the day, no matter how shitty their day was, reminds me that it is okay to be in your pleasure, to be in your bliss, to be with a partner who worships, devotes, and loves you to God. It's okay to have pleasure. And for pleasure to expand, to become multi-orgasmic. Whether you're a man or a woman, you are multi-orgasmic. Okay, my lover and I have a joke. We make love until my legs hurt. Okay, we make love until I need to move. Okay, and so love making is the way of purifying, clearing, and transmuting emotions. In my Sacred Muse coaching, I often tell my clients, if your wife is acting out and she's being a little bitch, emotional, chaotic, nagging, you as a man need to go and put down your sword where it belongs. Okay? Because her sword, which is her tongue, is going to keep yapping away until you, my man, put your sword in the right place. And so, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. My name is Aly Light, and I am from Sacred Muse Tantra. And if you would like to work with me to have your transformational Tantra massage experience, it would be my pleasure and joy to serve you. My temple is located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And you can find all information about me and my work on sacredmusetantra.com. I also have a YouTube channel and Instagram. And there is more to come. And so I welcome you to subscribe, comment, like, and share. And until I see you next time, ciao.